Greetings, all of you PAD warriors. This is Marcia coming at you from Williston, Florida today. And today we are in our second week of the Global PAD Association's Peripheral Artery Disease Awareness Month. I was thinking earlier today that maybe we should change that to peripheral vascular disease, since arteries aren't the only part of our blood vessel system. And I know there's several people that have PAD, but they also have problems with venous insufficiency as well. So anyway, with that said, stay tuned the rest of this month. Kim McNicholas is so busy creating new interviews with new doctors we haven't seen before. She's giving out the PAD Impact Awards to doctors outstanding in their field. And it should be a very enlightening month. So please stay tuned in to the Global PAD Association this month. All right, with that said, today I thought I'd talk to you all a little bit about flexibility and the yin and yang of flexibility. In the United States, I think that a lot of people picture flexibility as like doing a stretch and holding it for 30 seconds or whatnot. And in Qigong, it's more of doing a stretch or a movement and repeating it several times. And so you have one side of flexibility, which is stretching, but the other side of it, which is equally as important, is strength. And a lot of people don't put these two concepts together because we're so busy stretching that we don't think about the strength on the other hand of it. And a good example might be that, some people stretch so much and so hard that what they're actually doing is making micro tears in their muscles, which is similar to getting ripped in bodybuilding. But that's not what we're doing at all when we practice Qigong. Instead of making micro tears in muscles, we're being much softer with our stretches, and we're actually lengthening ligaments, muscles, and tendons, and muscle fascia. So again, I come back to the concept of softness in Qigong. So like, I'm not stretching way up here real hard. It's more of a relaxed, we relax into flexibility. And so maybe at first we have to tell ourselves, don't give in to overstretching. That's not what this is about. Give into the gentle yielding of it and feel your muscles slowly lengthen. And the opposite side of the stretching is the strength building. And a lot of that happens in our legs because so many movements in Qigong we do standing. But there's also other examples of it just in a movement that we make. When we're stretching gently this way, you notice that my head is tilted away from my raised arm, like, ooh, stinky armpit. And I'm actually stretching my rib cage a little bit. And when we stretch just ever so slightly, when we yield into that raised arm and stretching our rib cage, what we're doing is actually engaging some of our core muscles, which build these longitudinal muscles, up and down muscles in our core, rather than, six-pack abs. No, we're not building those muscles. We're building the up and down ones in our core. And we also build those by proper breathing, which is when we inhale, we picture our diaphragm going out, we push our belly way out. It's like a bellows opening. And then when we exhale, we suck our bellies back in and push the air out with our diaphragm. And if you practice this, you will feel your core muscles engaging. So there's a lot to be said for the yin and yang of flexibility. It's both stretching and strength. So with that said, I'm going to show you all today some moves that will be an example of flexibility. And I'm going to start easy in our heads. We're not even going to go into warm-ups today, except for doing a little bit of shaking, smiling from our hearts, engaging our other PAD warriors, saying thank you to the universe, getting our energy going, wiggling. And Qigong, as opposed to Tai Chi, a warm-up can be much shorter. And the more you practice, the better shape you're in, and the better you can actually get tuned into your happy feet. And one of the 4 secrets of Qigong is that relaxing your jaw is very important, because it activates our vagus nervous system, which is the rest and digest nerve. So let's tune in to our bodies. And the first exercise I'm going to show you, relax your quad here, sink in the quad. That's a very simple movement. If you're standing up straight, instead of like, you don't want to sway back, no sway back. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just gently relaxing your tailbone down so that your lumbar spine straightens out a little bit, and your knees flex, but not over your toes, just a gentle knee flex in there. And now this exercise is called raising one hand. And if you notice, it's very similar to one of the Tai Chi warm-ups that we do, where I refer to pushing on the floor and the ceiling. But this one in Qigong is called raising one hand. And we start with our Qi ball right here, with our happy feet on, tuned in to our good place, into our Zen zone. And I'm going to raise one arm up. I'm going to turn my head slightly away, like, ooh, stinky armpit. And I'm going to stretch up here, but not overstretch. And if you notice, this upper hand is very much like how it is in supporting the heavens or lifting the sky. It's palm upward. This hand, palm downward, and it's pointed slightly forward, probably at about a 45-degree angle, because that's how our bodies are built. It's the most comfortable way for it to be, instead of all the way forward or all the way out. This way you'll find a lot of times that our bodies work best on 30 to 45-degree angles. So we're going to stretch up here. Feel that stretch in our side a little bit, but don't overstretch. Yield into it. And as we come down, we exhale. We actually maybe almost kind of slump. And then we turn our head away from the raised arm again. Inhaling nice and deep. Exhaling as we come down. We'll do this a few times just to get our body feeling the flow of it. Nice and slow. If you notice with this up and down action, that's where the strength also comes into play in flexibility, because we're going up and down with our legs, pretending we're dangling from this string from the ceiling that runs from our head down to our tailbone. So it opens up our vertebrae, and it should also feel a bit relaxed on your feet, balanced on your toes and your heels. Nice and slow. Good stretches. Inhale. And exhale as we come back to center. So that's raising one hand. And now the next one I'd like to show you incorporates the same idea of flexibility, but in a different area. This one is called holding your feet. And for those of you that aren't very flexible, you might find that you have to bend your knees more because your hamstrings aren't very stretched out yet. Your knees should always be a little bit bent anyway, but you might find that you need to bend them more when we do this. So you find what's comfortable for you, and remember, don't over stretch. That's not how we build flexibility. So this one, first, we come from here. We go up, and our chin raises some. And now we come down, but as we come down, I want your hands to come near your ears, like you're going, what? Huh? I'm deaf, I can't hear you. What? And as you're doing this, start pushing your tailbone out. Stick your butt out. And then come down. Exhaling. And actually slumping a little bit to touch your toes. And you can stay down in this stance for as long as you're able. But you come up the same way. You start raising your chin up again, sticking that butt out, because this engages your lumbar spine muscles. What? I can't hear you. Inhale. Very important part of this movement, and why you stick your butt out and keep your hands near your ears as you start, is because I'll show you sideways. It makes us hinge from our hips rather than slumping from our spines. We don't want to look like a C. We don't want to look like that. We want to hinge from our hips. So when I start up here, I come down, start sticking my butt out, going, huh? I can't hear you. This pushes my shoulder blades back kind of together. And this creates a tabletop of our back from hinging our hips. Now, as we start coming down, we can lower our chin and then go into this C slump as we touch our toes or hold our feet. Then we come back up, start raising your chin again, because this pushes your tailbone out and strengthens the lumbar. There's this very subtle chin movement. You come up, lift your chin. Keep that chin lifted up. What's that you say? Until your hands start coming together, holding your chi ball.
to go down to your feet. That's when your spine slumps a little bit, forming a C shape. You come up, raise that chin, stick that tailbone out. That engages your lumbar spine muscles. So there we have holding your feet. And I think it was good for you to see that in side view so that you could get the idea of hinging as a tabletop. That's very important in this move. But I can go ahead and do a couple more facing you. Hands by ears, stick that tailbone out, chin up. And curl your back into the C shape as you touch your feet. And this is where straighter you can make your legs, the more you're stretching your hamstrings. So just do it as much as you're comfortable. Again, we don't want micro tears. We want to stretch muscles, not micro tear them. We're not bodybuilding. We're spirit building, actually. And that's another secret of Qigong, is that the physical aspect of Qigong is the least important. So, now I'm going to show you another one that exemplifies flexibility and strength, but I think it does it even more so. And we've gotten a good workout from our neck into our spine. So this is a good one, I think, that carries this on a little bit more with strengthening and flexibility. It's called swing head and tail. And I did show this one to you, I believe, last week. So to do this one, you know, generally our stance is about, hip width apart. You can tell that by putting your foot out sideways and then bringing it out. Or you can be shoulder length apart. Or you can even go out further to what is called a horse stance. And so find your comfort zone for this one. And again, hinge your back. Don't slump it. Hinge it. And place your hands on your knees. And you can do that either by putting your thumbs out or in. Play with that, see how it feels. And now we're going to turn our hips and our head and our neck one way. Exhale on this stretch. Inhale as we come back. You can exhale even out loud because it feels really good. And the idea is to feel a nice twisting, gentle twisting in your T-spine. And the less weight you put on your knees, the more you're going to strengthen your legs. Ah. So there, we have 3 movements. And now what I'd like to do with them is we're going to take all 3 of them one at a time, and we're going to put it into our little meditative form, which is a 5-phase routine. And it starts with an opening, which is getting grounded and centered with ourselves. And then we'll go into one of the dynamic movements. And then we'll go into a swaying breeze, flowing willow, or flowing breeze, swaying willow. And then we'll come out of that into stillness a little bit. We'll go into the next dynamic movement. And then go back to the swaying breeze, flowing willow, and stillness. Then we'll go into our third exercise, followed again by our flowing breeze, swaying willow, our moment of stillness and consolidation. And then after that third one, we'll come in, bring all this good energy back inward and consolidate our energy and close out. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm just giving you a heads up so I don't have to quite talk as much during our meditative part with instruction. So first off, let's get grounded. And shake, wiggle a little bit. Step out. Breathe. Smiling from our hearts. From our middle dantian. And when we feel centered, we can begin. So, find my feet proper. And raise one hand. Up and down with our spine. Palm up with the arm raised. Palm down with the one closest to the floor. Turn our head away from our armpit. Breathing from our bellies. Do a couple more of these. Yeah, let's go into flowing breeze, swaying willow. You can feel your body kind of moving around a little bit. That's your chi, your energy moving throughout your body. So let it flow. Let it move you. Feel that energy. Check in. Check in with all parts of your body and your mind. How are we feeling? Now let's bring this energy in a little bit Come to a more standing stillness, vertical alignment. Breathing and smiling from our hearts. Now let's go into holding feet. Stick your butt out, hinge from the hips. Hands by ears. Slowly curve your spine as you come down to touch your feet. You can stay in this pose as long as you like, breathing normally. Come back up, hinge from those hips, hands by ears. Slightly raise your chin, you come up. And slightly tuck your chin as your chi ball comes back together. And you round your back. Then touch your feet. All right, let's come back into some flowing breeze swaying willow. You don't ever feel like you're stuck to the floor. If you need to move around a little bit, do so. Now let's bring this energy into our lower dantian, feeling the stillness, listening to our bodies and our minds and our hearts, feeling in vertical alignment. Now let's go into our third and final exercise, which is swing head and tail. And we're going to separate our feet apart just a little bit more. And we're going to put our hands on our hips or on our knees with our swiveling from our hips so our back is like a tabletop straight. And to do that, you stick your butt out and hold your chin up. And now, turn one way. Feeling that good stretch in your spine. Couple more. Let's come back in. Some flowing breeze swaying willow. Let's feel our energy move. Scratch any itch or any tickle you might have. Don't feel frozen on the ground. Feel light. Light and easy, soft and gentle. That's where our power lies in Qigong. Now let's bring this energy in a bit more. Let's consolidate it down here in our lower dantian, the center of our breath and our balance. And let's be a little more still. Storing this energy away to use as we need and as we please. And now let's come into a closing. Put our hands right here in a triangle below our bellies. Now let's place our hands over our eyes. Again, tapping them, opening your eyes, and shutting them, blinking them. Getting us back into the realm of this world, and our surroundings, our environment. And now let's wash our face. And brush our hair. And lastly, cup your hands over your ears. With a slight pressure so it sounds different. And let's tap 24 times. And let's come in. Greet our fellow PAD and Qigong practitioners and warriors. And there we have it. Three movements that really exemplify the idea of flexibility and strength, because that's the yin and yang of flexibility is stretching and strength. It's not one without the other. So I hope you enjoyed these, practice them this week, experiment with which way you put your hands, experiment with your breath, and just play with it and have fun. All right. Thank you. Have a super day.